I am Vindya, working as assistant professor in the stream of computer science and engineering in the College of B.V. Raju Institute of Technology, Narsapur. So today our topic is basic structure of a C program. We'll be having some structure to write a programming language, any of the programming languages. So we have a structure for C programming also. So in this structure, we have 6 sections. The first section is documentation section. The second section is link section. The third one is definition section. Fourth one is global declaration section. And the next section is main section. And the other section is subprogram or user defined section. So coming to the first section, that is documentation section. Suppose if I am writing the code to develop a software, we'll be having 1,000 lines of code, right? So if any other user comes or there will be a team, if the other team member has to see the code and if we want to understand the code, we need some instructions, right? We need some comments. If the one who is developing the code is writing the comments, so the other user can understand the program very easily. So we have 2 types of comments. One is single line comment and the other one is multi-line comments. So we have single line comments and multi-line comments. So in this documentation section, we have to give comments. So single line comments are denoted using 2 slashes. Okay, whereas multi-line comments are denoted using slash tar and write down the comments and end the comments with star slash. And between this slash tar and star slash, we can write the comments. So whenever you write the comment, the compiler will ignore those instructions. With those comments are only for user understandability. They won't be converted into the binary code. So coming to the next section, that is link section. Link section is also called as preprocessor section. Here we'll be giving some of these header files. We have some functions which are predefined in header files. Like we have header files called as stdio.h. It stands for standard input output header file. And few of the header files like math.h and string.h and conio.h. All these are header files which are included in preprocessor section or link section. We'll be having some functions which are defined in these header files. So standard input output header file. This header file should be written in each and every program because to get the output, we will use printf function. We'll use this printf function. This printf function is stored in stdio.h. This is the output function, and as well as we'll be having scanf statement which is used as an input function. It will read the input from the keyboard. This function is also related to standard input output header file. So in each and every program, the printf function will be compulsory. It is a mandatory statement. To get the output, we need printf statement, right? So this printf statement is connected to stdio.h because the function is defined there. So we have to link this function to the stdio.h. So all these header files are written in link section. As well as we have math.h. Math.h is also a header file which includes all the mathematical functions. Suppose we have a function called as power, right? It takes 2 arguments, one is exponent, the other one is base. So this power function is defined in math.h header file. Okay, so h stands for header file. So this is the syntax to write the preprocessor section or a header file is you have to use hash include, then the angular brace, stdio.h angular brace. So this is the syntax to write the header file. So similarly, we have string.h. All the string functions are stored in this header file. And next, conio.h. This is console input output header file. We have a platform, the famous platform called as Turbo C. So in that Turbo C, we'll use clr scr and getch. These two functions are used. The CLR SCR function is used to clear the screen, whereas getch is used to hold back the screen or to get the character. So these two functions are related to conio.h. So all these header files must be included while you write the program. But stdio.h is mandatory to write. All these header files are written whenever they are required. Okay, this is about link section, and next is definition section. In the definition section, we declare constants. Constants are nothing but those are fixed values. Those values will not be changed throughout the program, whereas the value of a variable can be changed in the program, but a constant value is a fixed value throughout the program. So we cannot change the value of the constant. So such type of constants are declared in definition section. So we use macros to define the constant. So the syntax is use as, and we have define. Suppose I have a constant called as pi, and the value of pi is 3.14. This is how I'll declare the constants in the definition section. As define, give the constant name and give the space and give the value of that particular constant. That value will be used throughout the program, where the value of the constant cannot be changed. If you try to change the value of the constant, you will get an error in the program. Okay, and then next comes global declaration section. Global declaration section is like, we'll declare the global variables. These variables, or we can declare global variables. We can declare the functions too in this global declaration function. So when we declare the variables globally, or when we declare the functions globally, these variables can be used throughout the programs. Whereas if I declare the variable in main section, so that variable can be used only within that scope. Suppose I'm going to declare a variable here. And if I declare a global variable here, this variable can be used only within this scope, only inside this square brace, the flower braces. Whereas if I declare the variable outside the main function or at global declaration section, this variable can be used throughout the program. Even though if I write any functions here, user defined functions, I can use this variable even in this functions also. But this a variable cannot be used in these functions, as the scope of the variable is only inside this curly braces or flower braces. So this is the difference between the local variable and the global variable. Whereas the scope of the global variable is global, that means the variable can be used throughout the program, whereas the local variable can be used only in that particular scope. Right? So this is global declaration section. Next comes main section. This section is a mandatory section, where again in the main section we have declaration section and execution section. Inside the main function we have again declaration section and execution section. So in this declaration section, we will declare the variables. That is, what type of the variable we are using. We are just declaring the variable there. We are telling to the compiler what type of data we are using. Suppose If I am using only the integer types of data in my program, so I'm just telling to the compiler that I'm using the integer type of data. If I'm using float or real numbers, there I'll inform to the compiler that I am going to use the float type of data. So according to these data types, it will manage the storage in the memory. Suppose integer have 2 bytes of data in some compilers, but if it is of 32-bit or more than that, it will be having 4 bytes of data. Integer occupies 4 bytes of data. If it is 16-bit compiler, it will occupy 2 bytes of data. So according to this declaration, the compiler will know what type of data the variable is, and it will manage the memory according to that data type. And coming to the execution section here, except the declaration section, all the statements which we write will come under the execution section. Okay, so in main section we have declaration section and execution section. Then what is main section? Why do we use main section? When we write main, the compiler starts executing the program from the main section. Whenever it encounters the word main and parenthesis, it will start the execution from there. Okay, so it will start the execution from there. This is the use of main section. Then, so in main section, as I said, we have 2 subsections. One is declaration section and execution section. Without declaring a variable, you cannot use that variable in your program. If you use the variable without declaration, you'll get an error. Okay, then coming to the subprogram section. Subprogram section can also be called as user-defined functions. Here we define our own functions. Whatever the requirement of the user is, he or she can declare his own functions there. So all those functions can be declared in this subprogram section. We can write any number of functions there, function 1, function 2, so on till function n. This is subprogram section. So all these sections are useful, and all the 6 sections combined becomes a basic structure of a C program. And let us see which are mandatory to write and which are optional. Let us see. So documentation section, it is suggested. It is suggested to write, because if any other user wants to understand your program easily within less time, so documentation section plays an important role. If the codes of line are more, whenever you write a comment there, it will be easier to the other user to understand. So that is suggested. And coming to the link section is mandatory to write, because without link section, you cannot run a C program. That is, # include stdio.h is mandatory to write. Okay, so link section is also called as preprocessor section. Okay, the next comes definition section. This is optional according to the program, or according to the if I want to declare any constant, if a constant is used in a program, I have to write the definition section, right? That is optional, and you can also declare a constant inside the main function also using the const keyword. Okay, and then coming to the global declaration section, that is also an optional one. And main section is a essential one, because without main, the compiler cannot execute the program, and compiler cannot understand where to start the execution from. So main is mandatory. And subprogram section is also optional according to the program given. It is up to us to write the function or not. So this is the basic structure of a C program. So let us see an example using all the sections. Okay, suppose, as I said, the first part is documentation section. As I said, it is a suggested one, as we have two lines here. So I have used multi-line comment. If I want to write only comment, single line comment, I have used 2 forward slashes. Right? So this is multi-line comment and this is single line comment. As I said earlier, multi-line comments are used within /* write down the comments and end the comments with /star. Okay, here what did I do? I just have given the file name. The file name I have taken it as sum.c, and I have just given the description. What is the program about? Right? So this is the description, that is program to find sum of two values. You can write your own comments. It should be about the program. Okay, and the next comes, what is this? This is link section or preprocessor section. Right? So this section is mandatory because I have used printf in my program. Okay, so this is preprocessor section. Then next comes definition section. Here I have used a constant called as max in the program, right? And the value of the max is 20. And this 20, now a constant is created with the value 20, right? So here I have defined a constant there. The next comes global declaration. Here I have declared one function with the function name value, right? And I have used a variable called as minimum, that is of integer data type, and this represents the return type of the function. Let us see in the upcoming classes about the functions in detail. Okay, and then the next section is main section. There I have used int main parenthesis, and then inside this main function I have declared a variable called as min, and that in that main I have stored the value 55. This min is of integer data type, so if it is of 16-bit compiler, it occupies 2 bytes of data. If it is more than 62, it occupies 4 bytes of data. Okay, so the size of main is 4 bytes, right? And as max is of integer data type, it also occupies 4 bytes of memory. So here I have used one variable and constant, right? So next I'm just calling the function here. I'm calling the function. The function name is value, and here I'm passing the parameter min, right? Whenever I call the function, this directly goes to the function definition. So here this is the body of the function, and we are defining the function here, right? So just here what I am doing in this function, I am just returning the value of max plus min. What is the value of max? 20. So 20 plus 55, 75 will be returned to this, right? So here we have covered all the sections. The first section is documentation section. There we have written the comments. We have single line comments and as well as multi-line comments. And in the next section, we have link section or preprocessor section. There we have included our header files, the stdio.h, that is standard input output header file. And in the next section, we have defined a constant. The name of the constant is max, right? And in the next section, that is global declaration section, there we have declared a function with the name value, right? And coming to the main section, we have, this is declaration section, and the rest of the two statements are execution section, right? As I said earlier, main consists of two sections, that is declaration section and main section. Here I have declared the variable minimum, so this comes under declaration section, and rest of the statements are execution section, right? After this main we have subprogram section, where the user has defined his own function, right? So this value is the function name, and here we are again declaring the variable minimum as integer data type, and then we are returning this max plus min, right? In each and every line, we have a semicolon. So that semicolon is used as a terminator. I mean, that is the end of the instruction. Suppose as we use the full stop in our English language as that is the completion of one sentence. Similarly, we'll be having semicolon at each and every instruction. You can write the next instruction after the semicolon also. So whenever the compiler encounters the semicolon, the instruction ends there. Okay, and after the semicolon, the other instruction starts. That is the use of semicolon. Semicolon is used as a terminator of that particular instruction. Okay, so these are the sections of different sections in the structure of a C program. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.